He will be one of you. He is a blue-collar guy. He wants to win. He will do everything he can to try to turn that franchise around.
Great pass catcher, basketball background, athletic. He's got great length, tremendous catch radius. He will be a real factor.
6'4", 270. He sets a physical edge in the run game. Violent hands. Impacts the quarterback in the pass game.
With the first pick in the DML draft, the Houston Texans select
It's your boy, The Bus, and we're back with another episode of the Mock Draft. It's that time again, man, where we just completed a full season at the Super Bowl champs. The Packers win the Super Bowl once again, and we're getting ready for our draft coming up this Saturday, man, at 1:00. So before we dig into these picks, just want to introduce my counterpart. Y'all know who it is, man. Ray McShay. What's going on?
What's going on, baby? It's going to be a good one. There's some new teams in the top 10 this year. I see a Bear up there. I see a Redskin, a Falcon. There's some new teams, so this might be kind of interesting this time.
Yeah. We got some new teams in the top 10, man, and we got some guys who live in the top 10, and and some guys who live at the top 1. So let's just go ahead and dig into these picks, man. So first up, man, we got the Buffalo Bills coming in once again with the number 1 overall pick. So as I stated before, the Bills normally live in the top 5. As you see, they're the top 1. And for some reason, man, players just do not want to be drafted by Buffalo. If you look at some of their past history, man, you got Moody down there, man. They got a lot of first round picks down there, man. They just don't seem to be progressing. And to me, it seems like they're being held captive. I mean, what do you think about this Buffalo pick? And right now we both have them picking William Gillespie from Auburn. Now, tell me what you like about William Gillespie, and I'll tell you what I like about him.
Man, this kid's the number 1 player in the draft, hands down. There's a lot of good players in this draft, but this dude right here, he sets himself apart, man. 6'4", 201, 21 years old. He left school early, man, had a great season at Auburn. And if you watch his combine, you're like, damn, he blew it up. That's like a, Jamal Adams, Sean Taylor, something, crazy of a combine he had. And if you look at his top 3 skills, he's got A- hit power, B+ zone coverage, B+ pursuit. So that dude's going to be able to cover, and he's going to be able to lay the wood. Right. So I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, the Bills need a safety. I mean, they got first-round picks on every other level of their defense except their secondary. And I guess this was meant to be. The Bills finally get a secondary player to go number 1 overall. So I think Gillespie's the best pick in the draft, and the Bills would be stupid to pass on him.
Yeah, I like Gillespie, man, and I almost had them going wide receiver here, but I just don't think you pass up on a talent like William Gillespie. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes wide receiver, man. But with Gillespie, man, he's a man amongst boys, man. I mean, ever since his freshman year, he's been slated to go number 1 overall. So if the Bills, take our advice, William Gillespie will be the number 1 overall pick. I mean, as you mentioned before, he grades 10s and everything, man. With the A- hit power, the B+ zone. The only knock on Gillespie is his off the field issues. He has a tendency like to want to take care of the homies all the time. So if he can separate, his off the field issues and play football and get a good team around him, he'll be a great player. He'll be a great player.
Most of his homies don't want to go to Buffalo either, so I doubt he'll have that issue.
Right. So that may be a good thing. All right. So let's move on, man. We're gonna go to pick 2. And the Carolina Panthers come in here, and this is a pick they got from the Rams via trade. So the Panthers are another team, man, that kind of stays in the top 5, top 10 at times, man. And the team is kind of in turmoil, man, because they need a quarterback, but the quarterback position is not that great in this year's DML draft. So I got them taking Calvin June. Me and you both got them taking Calvin June out of Florida State. Now, I like Calvin June. He's an all ACC player. He actually transferred from Bama, man. So he knows how to play. Now, people, compare Calvin June to that pedigree that they have in Florida State with Derwin James, Jalen Ramsey. So if you're being compared to any one of those guys, you already know you can ball. You know what I'm saying? So Calvin June will come in if the Panthers select him, and he will start right away. It's going to be a dog fight between Defensive Rookie of the Year between William Gillespie, as we had him going to Buffalo, and Calvin June. Now, Ray, tell me what stands out about Calvin June that William Gillespie does not have, or vice versa.
Calvin June is 3 years older, so he's more mature. He doesn't have those off the field issues, so you don't have to worry about that kind of a character coming in your locker room and potentially having those issues. Like I said, he's 24. I mean, he's got great size. He's 6'3", 199. And if you look at his top 3 traits, A- hit power, B+ awareness. So that means he's a matured football player. He sees the field the way you want a safety to see the field, and he's got B+ pursuit. So as a coverage zone safety, that's what you want. And he did a phenomenal job at the combine. I mean, he's going to be fast. He's going to have great speed, great acceleration. So if you want a guy that plays the deep half of the field, he's a perfect fit. And being 6'3", you're not going to lob too many balls over his head, man.
Yeah, he's a big, tall guy, man. Has a lot of range. The only knock that may be on Calvin is he's coming into a team that has a developmental coach. The coach came down from the developmental league, so he's going to have to adjust to how the DML plays and how the DML runs. Now, I hope this doesn't affect how Calvin June develops, but if the new owner can adapt to how the DML plays, Calvin June would be a great player for years to come, all the way up into high stakes. So let's move on to pick 3, man. And we got the Redskins coming in at pick 3. And I got them going defense, man. I kind of got an idea where the owner may want to go, but when I look at his team, I think he needs a DN. And I got him taking Anton Watt from Florida State. I like Watt. He's 6'5", 303, so you can play him, as a DT, or you can put him on the outside at the end position, where I think the Redskins will play him. What I like about Watt is he can set the edge, and he can rush the passer. So I think he's gonna, force teams to double team him, which may open up the lanes for Montez Sweat to get to the quarterback. Another guy out of Florida State. So I got 2 Florida State guys going back to back. So you got him taking Von McGee out of Vanderbilt. What do you like about Von McGee, and how do you think he can help this Redskins team win that NFC East, man?
The Redskins run a 3-4 defense, and he's the best 3-4 DN. I mean, he's 6'4", 304. The kid's young. He's raw. He's got a lot of energy. He's 21 years old, man. And if you look at his top 3 attributes, B+ tackle, B+ hit power, B+ block shed. Those are phenomenal traits you want as a defensive lineman. On top, when he went to the combine, he threw up 39 reps. So he's chunking O-linemen around. So when you got them weak O-linemen in, New York and Philly, he's going to toss them around. So you add him to that already good D-line and let him grow. By the time high stakes comes around, this kid's going to be a freak of nature. And I think he should come out with high dev, So I think it's the perfect pick. He's been wanting another defensive lineman, and for him getting number 3, he's already gotten his quarterback. He got it in the last draft, so he doesn't feel forced to draft a quarterback. So I think getting a DN right here is perfect for the Skins, man.
Yeah, he drafted Mr. Bo Hamilton last year, man. So that's one position he doesn't have to worry about. Now, I like Von McGee. You mentioned that, he put up like 39 reps, so he's a lot stronger than Anton Watt. But for some reason, I just think Watt has a little bit more upside. But that's not for us to determine. Whatever player gets drafted, the Skins owner will have to develop that guy and get him groomed as far as like what scheme they run, and get him knowing the ins and outs of that defense. So we're gonna move on to pick 4. This is another team that lives in the top 5, and that's those Denver Broncos, man. Hey, Ray, we gotta find a way to get these teams that's always in the top 5 to get out of the top 5 and winning some games. They're always in the top 5. They always have these top picks. So when you got a team like Denver who needs some help in the secondary, man, I got them picking Taylor Rowe out of San Diego State. Now, the last time I've even heard anything about San Diego State was it Marshall Faulk? Then Marshall Faulk went to San Diego State. So am I right, or?
He was the last big name. They've had a couple of average cats come out.
Last big name was Marshall Faulk, but Taylor Rowe could be that man as well. Now we got 2 safeties going ahead of him, William Gillespie and Calvin June. But do you think Taylor Rowe is far off from them guys, or is he right there with them? I like Rowe. He kind of reminds me of a John Lynch type safety, but just more athletic. He has great hips, and he can run and cover the entire field. He's a heavy hitter as well. So I got the Broncos taking Taylor Rowe to help that secondary, but you got him taking Randy Higgins out of Florida State. What stands out about Randy Higgins versus any wide receiver or any of these collegiate semi-pro athletes that's coming into the DML?
Man, this is our 4th go around, and I swear I think the Broncos have been part of the top 10 every time, and I've said it every single time. Get your quarterback some weapons, man. Stop picking all these other players. You're talking about I throw too many interceptions because your receivers suck. Go get you a receiver, and Randy Higgins is the number 1 receiver. He's 21. That means you got 4 seasons to develop him to high stakes. He ran a great 40 at 4.46. He's going to have great acceleration. And he bench pressed like crazy. So he's going to be big, fast. I mean, and his route running is off the charts. He's got 80s in all of his route running. So if you need a receiver, if you can need your young quarterback to get a weapon, and you're complaining about how your pass game sucks, well, there's a way to fix that. Take a receiver. And I think Higgins is above and beyond all the rest of the receivers in the draft. And if he don't take Higgins, rest in peace to the Broncos the rest of the cycle, man.
Yeah, you gotta get Mr. Olsen some help down there, man. He was a number 1 pick for the Broncos a couple seasons ago, so get him some help. You got him taking Randy Higgins out of Florida State. So we're gonna move on to the Minnesota Vikings coming in at number 5. Now, the Vikings is another team that kind of stays in the top 10, and right here I got him taking your boy Randy Higgins out of Florida State. If you guys don't know, this is the little brother of T. Higgins that goes to Clemson. He chose to go to Florida State because he wanted to make a name for himself, and apparently he did, because as you mentioned earlier, Ray, he's the best wide receiver in this draft. I mean, there's nobody nowhere near him. There's nobody nowhere that can touch him as far as like his route running. He has big hands, and he's the type of receiver, man. He always catches the ball with his hands. He doesn't let the ball get inside to his path. And that's where I see a lot of young receivers mess up at. This guy is well groomed. He comes from Florida State, and I feel like he can help Baker Mayfield reach his potential. So you got the Vikings going defense with Deshaun Horton out of Michigan. Another safety comes off the board, fellas. So you got Gillespie, Calvin June, and then Deshaun Horton. And I had Taylor Rowe going to Denver. How does Deshaun Horton compare to some of the earlier safeties that went off the board?
I think there's a top tier, which, those top two guys are the top tier. I think Rowe and Horton, and there's one more safety we're going to talk about. I think that's the next tier of players.
Gotcha.
And Horton would slot in at strong safety or free safety for the Vikings. I mean, that was one of his biggest weak links on defense. He had some little long-haired white boy playing back there that couldn't tackle, couldn't catch. He wasn't worth nothing, man. So his D-line's good. His linebackers are good. His corners are good. He's got one good safety in Sean Davis. He needs one more element, man. And when you play in a division where guys run the ball like we do with the Bears and the Packers, the Lions, he's suspect. So, but you got to have defense. And I think he can make it by this season with the receivers he still has. But if you land Horton, he's 21. We have a lot of younger players in this draft. It gives you enough time to build them up. So when high stakes comes, this guy will be at his full potential and give you the maximum effort, maximum play from that position.
Gotcha. I like Horton, man. I think he's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder, being that Gillespie and June and Taylor Rowe could possibly go before him. So let's keep it moving, fellas. Now we're going to move right on into pick 6, and that's the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is their original pick. Remember, they got the pick 2 from a trade with the Rams. Now, I have the Panthers going more of a need versus a want at pick 6. They have Luke Kuechly, who's getting up in age. They still have Burns, but on that other side of the linebacker core, it's very weak. So I got him taking Todd Southward out of Vanderbilt. Now, this guy right here is more of a pass coverage guy, but I think he can cover the field. He can drop deep in the backfield. I mean, he can drop deep in coverage if needed. Now, the knock on him is he tends to look in the backfield a lot, but he has the speed to recover if those tight ends or those running backs get behind him. So I think, with the Panthers selecting Todd Southward, they team him up with Luke, and Luke takes him under his wing and allows him to groom and be that linebacker that they need to get him to the next level. So you got him going on the offensive line with Todd Matthews out of Florida. What do you like about Mr. Todd Matthews out of Florida?
This draft isn't O-line heavy like we've seen in the past.
Right.
And he's the number 1 offensive lineman in the class. And if you have the opportunity to get the number 1 offensive lineman in this class, like you did last year, because Carolina took Cardona, you got your left tackle in Cardona, and now you get Todd Matthews. You put him at right tackle. Both them kids are 21. They're both massive. They're both strong. You have your bookend linemen for the rest of the cycle, and it helps alleviate some of the pain of your quarterback play or your run game, wherever the case may be, because the NFC South is pretty weak, man, but they got some good defensive linemen. Now, Cam Jordan's gone from the Saints, so a lot of dudes are happy in that division, but you got the Falcons that have a good D-line. You got the Bucs that have a good D-line. You got to have them big boys up front that can block. I think Todd Matthews is the number 1 lineman. Go take him, man. And you're locked for the rest of the cycle with the two top-notch young tackles.
Gotcha. So that's a nice pick by the Panthers, man, with Todd Matthews to protect whatever quarterback he decides to bring in. So let's move right along, man. We got the Cleveland Browns, who jumped up to pick 7. There was a trade that he made with the Seahawks to get pick 7, and as you see, me and you both have him picking Jeff Wilson out of Stanford. Now, Jeff has the highest combine grade out of all the DNs in the DML draft. A lot of people compare him to Solomon Thomas, but I think he's a lot more versatile than Thomas. I always look at Solomon Thomas as someone who can just stop the run. Jeff Wilson can do both, but I think he's more of a pass rusher as well. Now, you had the Panthers taking Todd Matthews at pick 6. Now, there was a game where Stanford played Florida, and Jeff Wilson recorded 5 sacks on Todd Matthews. It's no knock on him. Maybe Todd Matthews was just having a bad day that day. But for Wilson to get 5 sacks versus Todd Matthews, I think that's saying a lot. So, what do you like about Jeff?
Jeff Wilson, he's, one of the top tier defensive ends in the class. I mean, speed rushers are hard to find. He's another young kid, 21 years old. You look at his attributes, all top notch. He blew up the combine. I mean, the Browns are in this position because they traded defensive end Chester. The Browns are transitioning to a 34 defense from their 4-3. I think that's one of the reasons why Chester was moved, not only in addition to finances, but I think Jeff Wilson, being his size, could be a perfect 34 outside linebacker. You let him stand up and you let him bend on some of them offensive linemen. I think this kid's going to be special, and the Browns coaching staff always gets the best out of their players, and Jeff Wilson would be a perfect pick to replace what he moved today.
Yeah, he moved Chester, which was a surprise trade for me. But if he selects Jeff Wilson, he's going to have some big shoes to fill with filling in for Chester. So next up, man, we got the New England Patriots coming in at number 8. Now, this is a very interesting pick, and I think this is a pick where he goes, I can't let this guy get by me, no matter if I need him or if I don't. And I have the Patriots selecting Floyd Lord. This is a guy that I don't care if you got Marshall Faulk, Sweetness, Barry Sanders in your team. You cannot let Floyd Lloyd get past you. He is a game changer, in my opinion. Now, he has the highest grade of the running backs, and I think he may have the highest grade as far as the combine itself. He comes in with an A stiff arm, A minus carrying, A trucking. He has a 4.47 in the 40. This is a plug and play. You give him the ball, you let him run it 20, 25 times, and let him rack up some yards, man. I like Lloyd. I think he could possibly help out the Patriots and take some of the pressure off those young quarterbacks that they have. But you got him going offense, but in the trenches. You got him taking Garrett Bradford out of Ole Miss. Now, is Garrett Bradford the second best overall lineman behind Todd Matthews, or is it just a situation where his combine proved that he was kind of like he was better?
Man, I actually think he's 1A, 1B with Todd Matthews. I mean, they're different sizes, different play styles, but I think Garrett Bradford can play the center position and or the guard position. The Patriots have a lot of aging offensive linemen, and I think Floyd Lloyd would be a perfect fit at that spot for the Patriots because he found a quarterback, he's found some pieces on defense, his offensive line's aging, and we still got 4 seasons left.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to be picking again this spot, you take the best player available. And if O-line, you see, hey, man, my guys are costing more money, they're getting older, and one might retire, and I don't have nothing to replace it with, man, go get Bradford. He's 23. He's going to be a phenomenal player. He can be an instant starter from day one. Help your quarterback out, man. And especially when you got to play the Jets X factors, when you got to play the Dolphins defense, and heck, the Buffalo defense. And he ain't winning games, but, he makes it interesting. Right. So, I mean, that whole division's got really good D-line. So you got to make sure your offensive line's top notch, and I think Bradford should be the pick.
Right. Yeah, Bradford would be a nice pick, and Floyd Lloyd would be a great pick as well. I mean, he's just that type of running back, man, who could run you over or run past you, catch out of the backfield. So
that's good marketing too, Floyd Lloyd.
Yeah. Hey, if Floyd Lloyd makes some money off that, I want my part. So you heard it here first. Now let's move on to pick 9, and this is where the Chicago Bears come in, and this was a trade that they made with the Bengals last year to obtain this pick. And man, as you see, one position that the Bears need is DN. And now Lewis Chester may not be the best DN, but I think the Bears pull a Ryan Pace and they reach. And I say they reach because of where this guy went to school, Buffalo. Everybody knows who went to Buffalo and who the Bears had to trade. So I think Ryan Pace is looking and talking to the owner of the bus and telling him, hey, go get Lewis Chester. He's flying under the radar. He's been coached during the summer and off season by the great Khalil Mack. He's gonna be there. He's gonna get the sacks that you need. He's gonna put pressure on the quarterback. I have the Bears taking Lewis Chester out of Buffalo. Now, who do you have the Bears taking at number 9?
I got the Bears taking the better prospect, in my opinion, at defensive end, PJ Callaway. PJ is a phenomenal speed rusher. You know, he played at A&M, so he played great competition. He's 6'3", 260. Again, he's young, 21 years old. Like I said before, we have a lot of young star-level players in this draft that declared early. So he was top 2 in the 40-yard dash. He was number 1 in all the agility drills. He's got pretty good strength. This is another guy that I think the Bears play a 4-3, if I'm not mistaken. So you could slide him at defensive end and pair him with TJ Watt and the other guys you got up front and form a dominant pass rush. You know, I think PJ is going to be a phenomenal player, and I think the Bears definitely are going to go defensive line. But if they had my choice of the players remaining, PJ be the pick.
Yeah, PJ brings a lot of talent to the field. And as you mentioned, he played in a very tough conference. We all know the SEC is tough, and people say they have the best competition. So he's going up against guys like Todd Matthews. He's going up against Garrett Bradford at times. So he's proven he's the guy that can get to the quarterback. So enough about the Bears. Let's move on to our final pick, and that's where the Atlanta Falcons come in at pick number 10. So, man, I looked at the Falcons roster, and the first thing that stood out to me, Ray McShay, was they only had one cornerback on the roster. So, and I haven't seen them make any moves during the offseason or bringing any cornerbacks in. So I think this is a situation where their hand is going to be forced to pick a cornerback from the position that's not as great as we normally see. But if he does, I got him taking Kevin Cotton out of Indiana. He's on the short side at 5'10", weighs 187, but he's young at 22. He has a B minus man coverage, and he can press. And I think that's what's going to help him be able to recover and cover some of these bigger and faster receivers as in the DML or in the NFC South. But he ran a 4.42, which is pretty fast. That might be maybe a 90 speed or whatever. But I got the Falcons taking Kevin Cotton from Indiana, man. Now you got him taking the strong safety, Bryson Metcalf out of Oklahoma. Why a safety versus a corner where he only has one corner on the team?
I think the cornerback position has some value in the later parts of the draft. Right now, I think the Falcons have 100-year-old Earl Thomas rolling around his little electric chair out there in the field right now for them, and it's time to move on, man. You got Keanu O'Neal. You need a tag team partner for high stakes. You know, Earl Thomas ain't going to cut it, man. You can't keep bringing that dude back every season on a one-year deal, hoping it's going to fix your defense when he's got like 80 speed. So install this new kid, Bryson Metcalf. He's big, 6'3". Again, a young star player, 21 years old. He's got great speed, great agility. He's got good hit power. He's going to flow to the football. He's got good awareness. He'll come out with a high overall. And I think in the later parts of the draft, there will be some corners there that'll be the equivalent talent of Kevin Cotton. You know, the Falcons sometimes have great drafts, and sometimes you're like, damn, what was that dude thinking? So hopefully him picking top 10, he realizes I got to hit on this pick and to not overdraft because he needs a corner, even though the value's not there.
Right. Yeah, I think either way it goes, either one of those positions will help out the secondary. Mr. Earl Thomas has moved on to the Vikings. So he took his wheelchair to Minnesota, so he's gonna be strolling the sidelines over there.
Oh
so
man,
maybe that's a good thing that the Falcons don't mind and bring in a younger guy like either Kevin Cotton or Bryson Metcalf. So.
And the Falcons like to go out in free agency and pick up some of them veteran guys that kind of plug and play during the season if they don't find the right guy in the draft. So, Kevin Sheffield will definitely be the number one corner. But I think if they don't find someone in the draft, they'll pick up some guys in the preseason to kind of fill out that roster and hopefully get them through the season.
Right. So, man, that was our quick mock draft of picks 1 through 10. As we stated before, man, we're getting ready for the DML draft that will take place this Saturday at 1 p.m. So hopefully these players, man, won't stay in the green room too long. They can get their hats and get busy and get ready for the up-and-coming DML season. So until next time, man, it's never too early for a mock draft. So until next time, we'll see you then.